Hey everybody, welcome back. Another new character to throw at you. This time, Symbiote Spider-Man. So some of you might be asking, who the heck is that? We'll cover that real quickly after this. But Envoy video, we'll go through that kind of protocol. But yeah, so we got a new character that could be a brawler, could be in the Spider-Verse. Where is he going to fall into place? What's his kit? Let's look at his model. We'll check out the stats, all the good stuff that we normally do around here. We'll get some videos shown in the background so you can kind of see some of his action. And you can decide what you think of him. Whether you want to spend money on him, whether you want to go hard at him, whether you just say, you know what, there's enough tunes in the game right now. I'm just going to let this one go. So anyway, let's get to it.
Bring me WolverThor!
I'm a part of a volunteer FoxNext Envoy program. I'm not an employee of FoxNext, nor am I an employee of Marvel. I do not receive any payments from either of these companies. The information that I was provided came directly from FoxNext through this Envoy program. However, any opinions, comments, or analysis of this information is strictly my own. Okay, so first things first. So a lot of people might not know exactly who Symbiote Spider-Man is. As you can see, this is Marvel.com, so you're not going to get a better source than that. Essentially what it's got written here, and the part I find interesting here before I get to that is, when we get to the model, this model that's on the comic here is virtually identical to the one that's in game, so I'm pretty sure this is why they went this route. Looks like this comic came out last year. They could have said, our conversations with Marvel, hey, this is a character that makes sense right now, or, we want you to get this sometime in the next year or so. Maybe that's why they're dropping them now. But ultimately what this says is everyone knows that Spider-Man's infamous black suit would someday become the wicked web slinger called Venom. But what happened before? Peter Parker discovered the black suit's sinister secret, and then it goes into talking about this is what this comic's about. So ultimately, Symbiote Spider-Man is Peter Parker with the symbiote on his suit prior to it becoming Venom. Just like, I think it was that wonderful movie Spider-Man 3, where when he was wearing that suit for a little bit, that's this. So anyway, let's check out the model. So there he is. You can kind of see behind us, you can see kind of some of the symbiote popping off just a little bit. Very, he's got the similar Venom looking chest piece, back piece there with the spider. He's got those web slingers on the top of his hands as opposed to the bottom like the comic shows. Pretty interesting looking character. We'll go through the abilities like I said, but yeah, I mean, Peter Parker in a different suit. So what you're seeing in the background is the Spider-Verse team in Dark Dimension. So you can kind of get a feel for how long they're lasting. You'll see certain abilities that we're going to talk about going through Symbiote Spider-Man's kit. You'll see some heals popping up. You'll see some negative effects going all over the place. Lots of interesting kind of dynamics going when you're thinking, wait, that's Dark Dimension? How are they not dead already? But again, Dark Dimension is a little bit softer now that we're at tier 13 and, all that kind of thing. But anyway, that's what's going on in the background. So first up, Symbiote Spider-Man's traits. Hero, City, Bio, Brawler, Spider-Verse, Symbiote. New tag. So that's something that's going to be added to the game. You can probably guess who's going to get it automatically. And I'll throw this out here right now because it's going to be an updated ability for Venom. His symbiosis unlocked at level 4, so no T4 is required, but it will now grant defense up for 2 turns to self and all symbiote allies. So it looks like we could have a potential new team coming in the future called Symbiotes. So we'll see. All right, so let's get to the kit. Basic. Symbiote Slinger. Attack primary target for 210% damage plus rebound chain to 2 adjacent targets for 170% damage. Apply defense down to each target for 2 turns. This attack cannot be countered. So really nice defense down to multiple targets there, which you always love. So let's see what turn we're going to actually use this on, though, because that matters. Next up, special. Spider Slingshot. Comes fully charged, energy cost 3 out of 3, so a very low cooldown on that, which you like to see. Attack primary target and adjacent targets for 300% damage. Increase the duration of their negative effects by 1, plus apply bleed to each target. So what I like about this is it's going to be your first turn ability. Spoiler, Ultimate's not. And it's got a short cooldown. So when you're looking at first when I saw this, I was like, increase the duration of their negative effects by 1. I'm like, who's going before this guy? It's only Carnage. Carnage is the only, and we're going to get in the stats in a second, but Carnage is the only person going. So you're going to be able to increase Carnage's bleeds, which is awesome, by 1. And then you're applying bleed to others, but it wasn't necessarily one of those where it's like there's a bunch of negative effects on the field and you're spreading them, or you're extending them. But given the short cooldown, I think that's really where this is going to come into play, where there's a bunch of negative effects already, and then he uses his second and third turn potentially, or really it's going to be the third turn you're going to use this. But let's get into that right now. So ultimate web slam, energy cost is 2 out of 5. So this is not, you know, a second turn ability or even third turn. I believe it's a fourth turn ability. Because the first turn you're going special, second turn you're using basic. And at that point, I think he's still at a 4 out of 5, so you need one more turn to be able to get to this. Correct me if I'm wrong downstairs in the comments, but this one I was kind of like, wait, what? So what is it then? Attack primary target for 340% damage plus apply stun. Attack all other enemies for 260% damage. Apply slow to all targets for 2 turns, which I like that in general. So basically everybody's getting slow. This attack is unavoidable and cannot be blocked. So again, you're throwing a stun out there, you're hitting all other people AoE style, and then you're applying a slow to everybody for 2 turns. So lots of negative effects on this one. Now let's talk about his passive. It's called Perfect Host. Now this is an interesting part that's now for the first time added to the game. In raids and Dark Dimension. In raids and Dark Dimension. And remember, this is a city character, so let's think about that for a bit. Whether this is a guy that we're going to bring into Dark Dimension 3 or not. When a negative effect is applied to an enemy, heal self and all hero Spider-Verse and symbiote allies for 3% of this character's max health. Gain plus 100% drain. Symbiote allies gain 100% drain. So I'm interested to see exactly how that works. So if you're not paying attention, there's a bunch of heals going in the background here. So, you know, there was one just right there. So does that mean when you apply a drain to one of your allies that they're gonna always drain somebody? So every time you hit, you're getting a heal. You know, and one of the things that you're seeing in the background is he just healed himself there. So obviously that was a drain. So as these fights are going, it's kind of like, are these guys just non-stop healing? I mean, that'd be an awesome ability to have and give you for sure sustain in something like Dark Dimension. Let's see if Miles gets any heal there. He didn't, so he didn't necessarily have drain. And how do you know if you have drain? I don't know. A Spider-Man didn't get any drain there. I'm very interested to see how this works when you apply drain to other allies. You know, again, is it just for that turn that you're giving them that heal? You know, there was just a heal for Venom on his symbiosis, but I don't know. So anyway, that's a very pay attention to that ability, because it could be part of what we've been talking about with how we're going to have a city team go into Dark Dimension 3. So very interesting aspect of that. Additionally on his passive is gain 15% dodge chance and gain 30% max health. Hero Spider-Verse and symbiote allies also gain 30% max health. So very interesting kit. I want to see how this plays together with the Spider-Verse. You know, right now I've got Miles and Spider-Man on my Brawler team. You know, is this guy going to go on the Brawler team maybe to replace Deadpool? I don't know. Is this going to take Venom and Carnage and put them on a team? For me, I kind of use Venom on a different war team. Very interesting here. So it gives you a lot of different dynamics. I'm sure the meta is going to shake out one way or another, depending on who you've got red stars on, who you need to fill somebody at, etc., etc. So very, very kind of, I think it's a fun kit. A lot of negative effects, and I really want to see how this
Passive works with the negative effects. You're healing self and heroes. That's obvious, but the drain part of it, you know, to me, so they just, in raids and Dark Dimension, all symbiote allies get 100% drain all the way across the board all the time. It's kind of cool, so you're always healing. Could give you a nice, I mean, maybe the symbiote team is going to be Dark Dimension 3 if they're city. I don't know if they're going to be. I can't necessarily see them all being city, but anyway, let's move on. Let's look at stats. Okay, now I'll say up front, I was actually surprised with how high ranked he was stat-wise. You really want to, obviously you want to get some sustain here, you want to get some health, basically everything. But really focus is key for this guy. His focus needs to be high. If his focus is not high, it's kind of like a lot of the stuff we're talking about is going eh. So anyway, he comes ranked at the 20th best stat ranked character in the game. I was surprised he was that high. You know, I think, let's see, where's Spider-Man in this list? Let's see, Spider-Man is much, much lower. I haven't even come across him yet, unless I skipped him somewhere. Spider-Man Miles at 75, Spider-Man at 86. So he is way higher. So, I mean, given the lore of it, that probably makes sense. The suit is supposed to be stronger here. So anyway, health ranked 82,000. And and before I get into these, just so you understand, this, I rank all the stats in the game. It's based on level 77 yellow stars, 0 red, T11, all of that stuff from MSF.gg. Because this is an Envoy video, the stats that I got, I had to interpolate a little bit, but they're typically right on par with what ends up being in the game. So, having said that, health 82,000 comes in at the 43rd ranked health in the game, so that heal should be pretty solid. Damage, super shocked by this one, 8th damage in the game, so he's gonna be hitting hard. We just did a video on you know, Cyclops is gonna be coming out, and I think it was, where is he at here, yeah, 10. So this dude's got higher damage than Cyclops, so hard hitter. You gotta remember that. I mean, when you were thinking, oh, I'm gonna pass on this guy, it's like, wait a minute, if this guy's got a better ability to make a team than Cyclops does, because there's X-Men already good, think about who you really want to build there. Armor, 85th. Okay, fine. You know, it's pretty weak. Could be a little squishy there. Focus. Don't love this. 36. 1805. Bit worried that his stuff's not going to stick, especially if we're talking about this Dark Dimension 3 thing. You know those characters are going to be T15 or 16. High resists. If this guy's focus can't be bumped up by other people on his team, this is going to be a problem, you know, and he's going to have some issues there. So, you know, this alone could take that team and say, well, if they're not spreading negative effects, then you're not really getting that heal and you're not really getting that sustain. So what's the point? Resistance, pretty low, 103rd. So again, potential squish here, given the armor and the resistance. The health is high, but all right, we'll see. Speed comes in at 11th ranked, 121. I mentioned before, 121 speed. I mentioned before there was only one other character on that Spider-Verse team that's faster than him, and that was Venom. But given some other symbiotes are probably coming to the game, are they going to be faster? Is that what that team's going to be? Is just a really fast, speedy team that, you know, puts all these negative effects everywhere, and he's spreading more, and he's extending them, and then Venom's extending them and spreading them everywhere. That could be a really cool, fun team, and really play into that symbiote lore a little bit, where just negative everywhere and just gook going everywhere. Could be super, super cool. So overall average rank on this tune across the board is 47.7. Again, still pretty surprised how high it is. Surprised how high the damage was. I'd trade that damage rank for about 15 to get a higher focus there, but I don't know, it kind of is what it is. So that's your Symbiote Spider-Man. Let's go through the outro. So what do you think? Again, I'm surprised this was a tune that got added to the game. I'm not super upset by it, because that would be contrary to me saying there's too many tunes coming too often to the game. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, maybe there's just throwaway tune a little bit. But then the stats end up being good. He could potentially help out, you know, Spider-Verse become a team. But then you see the focus, and it's like, well, is it really helping there? Is he going to be too squishy too? You know, especially if it's a Dark Dimension 3 type team. I don't know. So I'll still try to get him to, you know, somewhat serviceable. I'm not going to dump a bunch of stuff in this guy. I just don't have the resources. But I have a feeling he's going to definitely help out that Spider-Verse team. I'm first going to try him with the brawlers. I like getting more defensive down with them. If he can get more of that out there, you know, with Miles and Spidey, and I like to use it with America Chavez, and then obviously Miss Marvel. I think that's where I'm going to stick him at first. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. There's a lot of, it's an envoy obviously, so a lot of other content creators doing these. Check out their thoughts and opinions, see what they're thinking, but that's where I'm at. And as always, appreciate you guys stopping by and hope to see you again soon. Thanks.